I wanted to talk today about something that is, I think, very relevant in all our lives as musicians, producers, artists, composers, and that's musical overwhelm, or simply just overwhelm. I think just under the surface or just above the surface of your consciousness, we're always thinking, what is the next job or project? What are we going to be asked to do? Who's going to ask us? What should we be doing? Ways of dealing with this are incredibly important because this is something in everyone's life. What's going to happen next? And how can I make it happen? It's this sort of thinking that causes anxiety, and unless you deal with it, your activity and creative life is going to be affected by it. I've been around a while, and I think I might have got a handle on this. It's something that I do think about a lot. What's next, and how can I make it happen? But the first step to dealing with this anxiety is to know what you actually want. What is it that you want to be? And, simply put, what is your musical ideal? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years as a musician? Maybe 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. So knowing what that is really helps. And of course, in 10 years' time, everything could be different. In fact, it will be different. But what is it that you would like to be then? So that is your musical ideal, right? Now, knowing what your musical ideal is tricky. And that's where the whole dissonance comes from, because unless you really think about that, the anxiety of what comes next is going to be worse. Every musical decision you make, every step you take is either a step towards that musical ideal or a step away from that musical ideal. So knowing what the musical ideal is very important. Okay, here's an exercise for you. 40 cards. And on those cards, I want you to write an ideal musical situation that you'd like to be in. So it could be simply scoring a sci-fi thriller, or it could be playing in my own band. It could be recording 10 tracks of my own music. If you can create 40 to 50 of these cards, you should be able to create. Well, I'm using the word should, but you could create 40 to 50 of these cards. Okay, and they can be very specific. But they are all things that you want to happen, i.e. they make up your musical ideal. Once you've done that, I want you to take away the majority of the cards, discard them, leaving only 10. They are your top 10 musical ideals. All right, and once you've done that, the next step is to take away 7 cards, leaving only 3. Those are your top 3 musical ideals. So that can be pretty heavy. To get to those last 3 cards, you have to discard a lot, and you're discarding your musical life in order to create your top 3 musical ideals, right? But as I said, nothing's forever. Things change. However, at the moment, that's what you want. And once you know that, once you know what it is you want, then you can decide whether each musical step you take is going in the right direction or the wrong direction. That's your homework. Okay, there is another strategy too in dealing with overwhelm, and this verges on faith, but faith in yourself, really. It's not passive though, but it is a trust in the process. And the process really is do good work, keep doing good work, and trust that the work you put out into the world will come back to you. Okay, so like I said, it verges on faith or manifestation, all that sort of stuff, but you are actually producing something. If you stop putting stuff out, then nothing will come back. So the stuff you put out has to be good, and it's not about volume. It's not a process of attrition. It's not about just putting as much out there as you can and hope that something sticks. It's about carefully curating your output. Okay, now your output has to fall within the parameters that are set by your musical ideal. So the homework you've done to work out what that is, it has to align with the work that you put out. It's interesting to imagine, say you're a composer for film, which I think a lot of you are. It's interesting to imagine a director that you might really want to work with. Does he or she want to work with you? It's simple. If they look at your CV, your IMDb, your showreel, is it something that they want for their film? Perhaps one gets caught up in thinking you need to be a certain type of composer in order to work in film. However, you have to think that directors, producers don't want what's now. They want what they think will be the future, which is a strange concept, but you can't chase what exists now. You have to try and be the thing that will be popular in the future. Okay, so the only way you can do that is by being true to yourself as an artist, because you need to have integrity and you need to put out what it is that you think is your musical ideal. A director will see this and want that to be part of their film. There is, of course, a place for the composer that composes everything, that is all things to all directors, is a jobbing composer of music for media and does library music, production music, advertising, TV. Does your favorite director want to work with that composer? I think that's a big question you have to answer. If you're watching this video because you do suffer from musical overwhelm and you want to fix that, the homework is make those cards of your musical ideals, discard all but 3, and then work with what you've got there. And the second thing, trust the process, do the work, produce good music. These aren't necessarily the answers to all your problems, but it is a helpful strategy in dealing with the anxiety that comes from the overwhelm of what's next. I hope I've been helpful. If you'd like to see some more of my ideas about the compositional process and ways of being a composer for film, then check out some of the films now on your screen.